All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to Hump Day Hangouts episode 198. We are inching closer and closer to the 4-year mark. So we've got a special guest with us today, but real quick, we're gonna give some good announcements, a little bit of updates, and say hello to everyone. And then I will do a little bit of introducing. So real quick, let's see who we got on my far left. We've got Chris. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Good day.
Good deal. Hernan, about yourself? Are you freezing your ass off in the Southern Hemisphere?
Hold on just a minute. I'm just gonna drop this here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe it's the other way around, but it says POFU Live 2018. That's what.
That's the actual banner that we're gonna hang at our live.
Yeah.
First year,
we spared no expense.
Yeah. I need to scratch the logo right there, but yeah, I'm super excited, man. I'm super excited for today's and for POFU Live. I'm super excited for what's coming for Semantic Mastery. So. Yeah,
awesome.
That's more important than the call. I don't care about it.
Yeah, and I'll drop the link on there. If you haven't yet, please check it out. We're obviously interested in having as many people find out about the live event in October, but it is limited. There's only going to be 25 seats. We're already getting close to halfway full, so don't wait too long to pull the trigger because we're looking like this one's going to get full up. But Marco, how you doing? How's the weather? I mean, we got to check in with you. How's the weather?
We haven't had any rain for like 3 days. It's beautiful. 80 degrees, sunny, hitting the pool. That's how it goes in Costa Rica, man.
Good deal. Bradley, how about you? You're not being blown away or washed away or anything?
No, it's good for the moment. But yeah, and I'm excited to be here, guys, at POFU Live. We're really excited about that. I've been working on kind of developing out what I'm going to be training on. And also, just kind of an aside, but there's a method I've been testing in the last few weeks, in the last 3 weeks, that I shared in the mastermind, and I actually just drafted the mastermind newsletter installment for next month that the mastermind members will get. We send out a physical newsletter every month to our members, and I'm sharing the process in a written form in the newsletter for what I've been doing, but getting the 3-pack listings, like I call it sniping 3-pack listings, because it's within 24 hours, I'm able to take a brand new GMB profile and get it to rank in the 3-pack, and it's freaking fabulous. And so I'm going to be talking about some of that at the POFU Live event too. Mastermind's getting a taste of that now, but I'm going to go much more into depth on kind of a strategy and method for building an empire of maps sites or maps profiles. So that's part of one of the things I'm going to be talking about at POFU Live, and you have to be there to hear it.
Boom. Good deal. Well, I think Hernan's dropping or drop the link, so please check it out. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Contact us at support@semanticmastery.com. We're happy to talk through this. But on that page, you'll find event dates, event details, what we're going to be covering, and other good things like that.
Can I drop before we move on to our VIP? Can I just drop a little tease? Because I'm still working. I'm still working on doing away with not having to do anything at all with Google, and forcing Google to rank you because they feel left out. And it's killing it for guys. If you're an affiliate and if you're in local, it's killing it. It's crushing it. It's like, if I showed you the numbers, you wouldn't believe it, because it's like it makes so much money so quick. You guys saw the profile that I posted, right? It's getting like 1 million viewers. That profile, 1 million monthly. One profile. That's the traffic that it's getting. 1 million people. Come on, man. It's about to go down. I'm about to once again turn the SEO world on its fucking ear, and I'm the one who did it.
You heard it here first.
Real quick, just saw a question from somebody about the live event. So I did want to say that it is going to be in DC. It's not going to be at a hotel, right? We limited it to 25 plus us and our guest speakers. So it's going to be a small group and a hotel. I'm sure there would have been some hotels maybe have smaller event spaces, but we've gone with a specific event space, and we're still getting that locked down. So we're not going to give out the address, but it is in DC. So worst case scenario, when you get to your hotel, you're just going to have a short Uber or maybe a walk or ride the train. But it's going to be in the downtown area. So
yeah, guys, we're going to be trying to stay like right in town, in right in the city. Adam and I were actually chatting about that yesterday. So, and just find a spot in town or even outside of the main city that is within Metro. You know, it has easy access to Metro, which is the basically subway system or whatever, for DC, because there's a lot of really nice places you can stay right outside of the city too, that are just a short Metro ride in. So I would suggest, you know, just go on hotels.com or one of those apps or something like that and try to find something close by, because it's a small enough venue or event for us that we don't have like a block of rooms reserved anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be getting an Airbnb and going from there. So
that's right. We're getting an Airbnb, which is what we typically do. And that's, by the way, that's a great idea because it's so much cheaper that way too, if you can double up with some people. So.
Yeah, and for me, it's perfect. I'd rather stay in an Airbnb than a hotel. I like having a kitchen and all that jazz, having a deck or something. So, well, without further ado, our very important person today is Eric Christopher. You might also know him as E-Rock. So he's been an entrepreneur for over, nearly 2 decades. And you might know him from several different areas. I'm going to let him talk a little bit about himself after we do the introduction. But I believe, Bradley, you first met Eric at the SEO Rockstars, right?
Well, I met him in person there. I've known of E-Rock or Eric for a long time because he did some training. I think he was also a student of Ivan Budimir many years ago. And Eric, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but then you ended up collaborating with Ivan on some different projects. And so you became kind of a mentor to me as well by proxy, because you were with Ivan. And Ivan, I've said this many, many times publicly, but Ivan Budimir had the most influence on my career as a local marketer, hands down. So, you know, again, I've got much respect for both Ivan and Eric.
Good deal. And I'm just going to mention this because I think people might know Eric from different places, but localbusinessrockstar.com or BizFamous Media Group. And then, Eric, can you tell everyone just a little bit about how you got started online, a little bit of your background? I think you could tell it better than any one of us could.
No, I think you could do a better job, Adam.
All right, here we go.
So yeah, first of all, I want to say thanks for inviting me on, and I really appreciate it. And I'm honored that you guys have had me on, and congratulations on coming up on 4 years. That's an impressive feat that a lot of people aren't able to do. So congratulations to you guys on that. Bradley, thank you for the kind words. So I got my start. I'll try to keep this as short as I can because I hope to provide value to your audience as opposed to just talking about me. I used to think like it didn't matter, but it does, because now that I've become more influential in the world, really being able to tell your story matters. So please, if you're out there watching this, don't discount your story, because it's how people will ultimately identify with you and decide if they want to do business with you or somebody else, with all things being equal. So I got my start years ago when I was in the multi-level marketing industry, right? Like MLM, oh my God. Well, it paid us 6 figures in revenue over a few years. We made a full-time living at it. I used to have a strength training business. I used to teach people how to work out. I used to be about 20 pounds more muscular than I am today. But my business started to fail because I didn't know how to market. And so I decided, well, I need to find something I can learn the art of marketing. And so I started doing multi-level marketing on a part-time basis, because all I had to worry about was marketing. I didn't have to worry about fulfillment, any of that crap. And so we built a multi-thousand person organization across the globe. And we did it all through like old school methodology, right? Without using any really online strategies, just kind of the good old telephone. But then we started messing around with Google, and I started messing around with Google Local. And I was able to get a local maps, a local map listing to rank in my geography. And still to this day, even though it's been over a decade, I get an occasional phone call or two every single month for people looking for the actual product. So we were in Legal Shield or prepaid legal services. They just actually cut us a $14,000 residual income check recently, which was really badass. But so anyway, I started messing around with online stuff, and I was like, how do I do more online stuff? And I just realized after a little while, multi-level marketing wasn't going to build me something with equity that I could potentially sell later. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start doing some local SEO stuff. And so I bought a course, right? Imagine that. I invested in a course, and I was like, man, I hope this works. Because I was leaving like, you know, an industry that was doing pretty well, but I thought I could grow something in the internet marketing space. And so I launched a company called Local Business Rockstar. And the way I got my start is I went out to some local networking events and I basically connected with a few people. And I said, hey, I'll sit down and offer to help you, just kind of with some free stuff. And I basically had a carpet cleaning guy that said, hey, I'll give you my business. And so we decided to optimize 6 locations in the Phoenix area. And I had no idea if I could actually fulfill, right? So hopefully that's lesson number 1 is like ready, fire, and then aim, right? So I basically sold this guy on a 4-figure monthly deal that hopefully I could get him local SEO results. And I was all predicated on the fact that I was going to implement what I was learning in this course, right? So I could have wound up with just egg on my face really bad, but long story short, in about 2 months, it worked. We ranked them. We ended up ranking them in multiple locations. They stayed with us for 6 years till they sold their business. And that's kind of how I got my start in the industry. And then along the way, I ran into Ivan Budimir, who had a really cool image optimization hack that they leveraged. And basically it was pretty cool. It still kind of works to this day, just not in the same level. But that's kind of how I got my start. And so we started just to kind of like increase our influence. And I actually got a cease and desist letter from a company that was claiming that we were infringing on their national registered trademark. So that's lesson number 2, learn from my mistakes. If you're planning on building a successful business, right, make sure you do a little bit of intellectual property to make sure you protect yourself. And so that's ultimately the genesis of why I created the brand of Biz Famous. One, because we were expanding outside the world of local anyway. And so we worked with some national brands. We helped one of our clients become the number 2 best-selling book on all of Amazon for a day across the entire planet. Number 2 book, all of Amazon, not for the category, the entire planet. And so now today, I write for entrepreneur.com. I've written for Huffington Post, Thrive Global, Business, Newswire.net. And so that's kind of where we're at today, and excited to hopefully share some great information with you guys, and look forward to launching a couple of information products and software coming soon, a couple softwares maybe.
Nice. And I think this is a good time too for everyone watching. If you already had, or if you now have questions for Eric, be sure to pop them onto the event page, and we'll, as time allows, we'll relay those over to him. But also on Monday, we're going to be having, you're invited to a webinar. We're going to be sending out some emails shortly to find out what Eric's been working on recently, which do you want to tell people a little bit about this? I think people from our mastermind might already know this, but again, I'll let you describe it.
So the last few years, again, I would discount my story. I would really kind of hey, if I just cut to the meat and just deliver some amazing content, that will make a difference. And it does, of course. But in today's age, my wife has a business called Biz Tuition, and she teaches business owners how to overcome the challenge of infobesity. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard of the word infobesity before, but information overload, right? So it's oh my God, everybody and their mother's coming into the digital marketing space. There's really no barrier to entry. It's become when I first got started, man, it was so easy to rank. You could do so many different tricks and hacks and tactics and strategies and make things happen overnight. And today it's just not as easy as it used to be. And in a way it's good because it gets rid of the people that don't have skills. In a way it's bad because it makes it harder to get started. And so during my journey, I was able to help to understand neuropsychology, how to create influence, because ultimately I knew no matter how good I was at SEO, if I couldn't get, and especially, it depends on what your objective is. If you're doing affiliate marketing, it's not that big a deal to be able to necessarily know how to sell, right? I still think it does, because you still need to be able to communicate the value proposition, why someone should buy your affiliate program versus someone else.
Definitely. Well, yeah, getting the traffic there is part of the battle. Then you got to convert it. So
right, and that comes back to influence, right? How do you create influence? And so over the last half decade, I've really invested a lot of my education in developing influence. That's why I decided to actively seek out how I was able to get people like Ariana Huffington to invite me to write for Huffington Post, and then the folks at Entrepreneur, right? And ultimately, which is a really cool story. I don't even know I think I might have told you this, Bradley, maybe not, but I was actually just on the set of Shark Tank about actually 2 months today. So it's my 2-month anniversary, where I was invited onto the set of Shark Tank. and got to interview all the sharks, right? All the guest sharks. And we've had to keep it kind of under wraps just because we signed an NDA until the new season premieres and all that good stuff. And so ultimately, what are we doing in the world of marketing? What are we doing in the world of SEO is we're trying to create influence. And so the project that I've been working on now for quite some time, and that we're finally decided to kind of do like publicly releasing it, is how to influence Google to recommend your brand to people who are actively searching for your products and services online. And so I'll kind of get into more of that as we get on to the end, because I just want to make sure that like I want to ask, hopefully ask or answer questions if anybody has questions, or just kind of talk at a little bit of a macro level on like where kind of SEO and marketing is going.
Cool. Well, I mean, that's basically what was on my mind. So let's kind of roll into that. Like, where do you see, and this is a free form question, and anyone else that feels like chiming in, feel free. But Eric, where do you see as, there's so many subtopics, but between SEO and digital marketing in the next couple of years, what do you see like an area being that you think people should pay attention to, or something that they should know, or something like that? I'm always curious of what people see as like the coming trend, or what they think is important.
Well, I think we're all starting to experience that already with RankBrain, right? For those of you that are more hardcore SEO folks. And really, that's just Google's fancy branded way of saying artificial intelligence, right? Virtual reality. And so ultimately, like, that's the path to where it's going. And a lot of the practices of traditional SEO are slowly being phased out, in my opinion, by Google and other search engines. Other search engines will probably, hopefully, catch up someday, right? Or they'll get acquired by Google, which Mozilla did. But it's gonna progress to where, in my opinion, like my big prognostication, not that it's really like epically like insightful, but Google's been, ever since it started, it was easy to kind of game the whole link industry, right? Like basically, I remember when I was able to rank back in the day, local internet marketing, we were ranked number 5 nationally in the United States for it. And we were outranking Yodel, which at the time was like a $253 million company. And at the time, it was just me, myself, and I outranking them, right? And all we did was just kind of like exact match, anchor text, backlinks. You do that today, you're toast, right? And so Google is slowly shifting its emphasis away from anything that can really be manipulated or orchestrated. And it's moving, more into the realm of artificial intelligence based on signals that it's getting from users. And I just see that in the next 5-10 years that I don't know if Google will ever get completely away from links. I think they still use links as a way to kind of connect the dots in its algorithm. But ultimately, like, and maybe you guys are seeing this, or maybe you guys want to interject your thoughts on this as a group of fellow experts of, how much have you seen over the last couple of years where backlinks are becoming less and less of a ranking factor, and you're seeing user metrics becoming more and more important in terms of results?
I absolutely 100% agree with that. One of the things that we've seen, especially in the last year alone, is how you can rank almost entirely with just engagement signals. And we proved that with YouTube videos. That's kind of been known for quite some time. But now, even so, with especially since the mobile first index took over, which was just last month in July, like with our local GMB Pro methods and what we teach in that course, and we're also developing a done-for-you service for that right now. That's exactly what we're doing, right? We're speaking directly to the mobile first algorithm and giving it giving it signals and activity, which then Google serves to users and gives exposure to that business to mobile users that are in close proximity, that are doing any sort of related type of search. Whether we're showing in rank trackers or not, it doesn't make any difference. We're still getting exposure and activity engagement from mobile device users. Again, whether rank trackers show it ranking or not, it's independent or regardless of ranking. And the only way to explain that is because it's Google going more and more towards engagement and user signals, as opposed to what Eric just said, which was backlinks and some of the old, more traditional stuff. And it's been quite incredible to see the kind of results that we're able to get with an absence of backlinks, right? We're not even needing to use backlinks. And a lot of times what we're using for backlinks now are other Google properties, right? We're using Drive stacks or Google Drive files and folders and such to backlink. Obviously, press releases are still my preferred backlinking method at the moment. And then just content syndication, which usually has an attribution link that points back to the original source. And those are pretty much the only 3 link building methods we really teach, and it works. So.
Oh, and I'm so glad you talked about syndicating content today. Actually, I don't even know if I've actually shared this like really kind of publicly, but I'm going to totally dispel the whole myth of the duplicate content penalty.
Oh God, please do, because you know how many times we have to answer that question right here on Hump Day Hangouts?
Can I do a quick screen share and I'll actually show you an example?
Please.
Yeah, let's do it.
Please.
All right. Let me open up a new incognito window here. All right. So hopefully I can just remember this off the top of my head because this wasn't necessarily on my agenda. So how to treat infobesity. Okay, how to treat information overload in 3 simple steps, right? So ranking number 1. This is my wife who wrote the article, who's a successful entrepreneur in her own right. And you can see here, I'll just kind of highlight some of this, right? So if you've ever been in blah, 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 right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And then I'm going to come here and do another search. And the search query is info. Oh, I know what it is. Infobesity epidemic. Right? So the only thing different is the title. Everything else is exactly the same. Right? Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you can like replicate these results because one of this is on Huffington Post, the other article is on Entrepreneur, right? So super high authority, trustworthy websites. But basically just by changing the title only, we were still able to rank number 1. And again, that's not super competitive keywords. It's not like weight loss or anything like that, right? So for those of you that are going to sit there and be like, ugh, like in a more competitive marketplace, sure, it may be harder to rank, but it's not being penalized. That's my whole point. So hopefully that dispels that myth.
And that's because it's on a different domain, right? And that's the thing. People say duplicate content, and duplicate content does exist, but that's typically when it's on the same domain. If you have the same article posted on a domain, like for example, that's how tags guys can get you into trouble with WordPress sites, because if you have a unique tag on a blog post, then WordPress by default will create a tag page. And if you have those set to index, then Google, the tag page will index, and the tag page looks, when you click on the tag archive page for that particular tag, if it's a singular tag that's only been attached to one blog post, that tag URL will be an exact replica of the post itself, right? Depending on the theme, sometimes it'll be a snippet, but most of the time it'll be the entire article, the entire post. The only difference is the URL. Everything else will be the exact same, and that can cause duplicate content penalties or issues for a site if you don't know how to use tags. Either set your tags to no index, or make sure that you're using more common tags that occur on more than one post. And that way, when the tag archive page gets pulled up, it's like a blog index page. It shows all of the posts that contain that or have that same tag. And so that wouldn't be duplicate content. But when you have a singular tag, it can be. And so again, that's where duplicate content issues come up, not on different domains. Otherwise, press releases wouldn't work. And that's typically, by the way, Eric, that's usually what we use as the go-to example for duplicate content. Because press releases, we all know, work incredibly well. And it's the same damn article getting picked up by 300, 400, 500 different syndication partners. So.
Yeah, we're huge fans of press releases as well. One of the ways actually we ended up working together with Ivan beyond the initial course was he ended up going and doing some work with a news release company called newswire.net, and which is still a super powerful way to be able to, to get good links on there. I think that they still charge for access to it, but it's a great solid platform in addition to some of the other resources that I know you guys make available to your community. So, because even though I don't get a chance to watch every Hump Day Hangout, I do sneak in every once in a while and kind of smile.
Lurk in the background.
Cyber stalking, right?
It's good. It's always nice to hear that. It's funny. We talk to a lot of people, and just, I mean, I think all of us do the same. You know, you've got shows or podcasts you listen to, and then it's funny sometimes to have people on like, oh yeah, I've been listening to this off and on for years. Like, wow, okay, hey, good. Well,
No, absolutely.
Just so some of our beginners don't get mixed up, right? Back on this backlinking thing, traditional or old school backlinking is what we're differentiating, right? We're not saying that Google doesn't look at links, because everything that the latest distance graph algorithm update did was talk about links, but it talked about what Bradley and E-Rock mentioned, which is it measures activity on the link, it measures relevance on the link, and it measures trust and authority. And again, you know, you guys have heard me say this, it takes place on the source of the link and on where the link is directed, right? So it takes a look at both, and it takes at everything that's linking to that. So it's not that links are obsolete. It's now the way that Google is looking at links and the value that Google is placing on links that are untrusted and authoritative websites. And I'm not talking about third-party metrics, of course. I'm not talking about trust flow. I'm not talking about the domain authority. None of that garbage. Everything is out the window. Only Google knows what Google measures, but we know generally what it measures because we have the math. We have the math on the patent. We have everything that they say about the patent, what and what they're looking at. So I'm glad that this is being brought up and that we're differentiating, right? Link building still works, but you have to go further out. You have to go out into tiered link building. I don't want to get into that because, you know, that's higher level. But again, art, activity, relevance, trust, and authority. That's what you need to be looking at when you're looking at links going to and coming. Going to your website and going from your website to wherever. That's where you have to be really careful and pick and choose the links that you're getting.
Definitely.
Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes that I think I see a lot of people make is that they don't emphasize link building in the natural order of things. And that's something that I'll be talking about in greater detail in the webinar on Monday, and why you, because I've always looked, and this is going back years ago, right? But I've always looked at Google from a perspective of Google's a girl, right? Like, if you haven't heard anybody else say that, I'm telling you now, Google's a girl, right? She loves to dance, right? All right. She wants to know that she can trust you. She's going to basically give you favor if you're more popular than not, right? So Google's a girl, and you have to basically influence her to want to date you, and then hopefully end up marrying you, right?
This is a great analogy. I've actually somehow never heard this.
You've never heard this before? Oh my God.
I haven't. Have you guys? I literally haven't.
Yeah. It's like courting a woman. Yeah.
So if you move too quick, you're going to get the slap, right? So I can go on to this whole, like, I've had arguments with girls who are like, no, Google's a man. I'm like, and they're done. And they're like, okay, you're right. Google's a girl, right? So the whole point of influencing Google is if you do things in the right order in the way that Google wants it, and if you're smart about it, you can do some of the black hat things that can basically, they're like the dirty stuff, right? It's like out in public we do the white hat stuff. When we're in the bedroom, we want to do some of the black hat stuff, the naughty stuff, right? So the key is how do you get that progress in the right order, right? And that's a great analogy for what I'm going to talk about in the training, right? But if you're like, you go out on the first date, and even if you get to go back, and you do get to go back to the house on the first date, and you get in the bedroom, right? You better watch out doing the super kinky stuff, because then like that girl's going to kick you out. We all know that's common sense, and Google's the same way, right? So I think one of the biggest mistakes that people are making is not looking at it from a kind of like a 30,000 foot view of how the progression would look, right? And then so we get caught up in tactics, right? And there's an amazing amount of cool tactics that are out there, but it needs to blend in with an overall strategy. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about you guys is that you test stuff, and then the tactic There's a lot of people doing like single variable testing type stuff in the marketing world, and that's great. But what it's not accounting for, again, as a tactic, it works. But what it's not accounting for is dependencies. Just because something works in a single variable test in and of itself doesn't mean when it's combined with two other algorithmic factors, it's going to have the same effect.
Right.
Right. And I don't want to get into any specifics on this because there's a lot of smarter people with scientific backgrounds than me. Right. I just know if I do the things that I think that Google is looking for. Right. And you talked about like Google Drive stacks. Right. And I'm putting it out there. I'll argue with anybody, but I would consider myself to be the godfather of custom My Maps, right? I was able to get a custom My Maps to rank on my own. No one taught it to me. I discovered it purely on accident just by testing stuff out. And it was back in the day when you could get do follow links. You could put exact match anchor text in it. Unbelievable, right? And I didn't share with anybody for years until actually the first SEO rock stars that I shared it with. And then after that, another group who was supposed to be secret, but it ended up getting out. And I'm sure there's other people might have discovered it too. But I was doing that stuff back in 2011. Why? Because I knew, hey, here's a good example. If you look at Google as like a bunch of sisters, right? Well, hey, if you do things and you're super nice to one of the sisters, is the other sister going to like you too? Right? Oh, he's so handsome. He's so nice. He's so gentlemanly. He does such nice things and says nice things. So Google loves its own properties. We were using Google for different properties years ago, like over half a decade ago, before I would call it a little bit more commonplace, right?
Gotcha.
And so my whole focus is like that whole Wayne Gretzky thing, right? If you're familiar with Wayne Gretzky, it's not where the puck, it's like good players know where the puck is. The great players know where the puck is going. And right now, the thing that I want to train on with like, and talk about like on the session on Monday is where's the puck going to be going and how can you position your business to take advantage of that, right? So that you can be ahead, literally a lot ahead of other people that are in the space, because that's what it's going to take. And I'm also making another prediction. My other big prognostication is that if all you do is SEO, right, you're going to struggle to grow a big business if you're trying to build an agency.
Well,
right?
SEO is kind of encompassed, like we use that kind of more like a overall encompassing term now, because to be an effective SEO, you need to do content marketing. You need to be, know about content marketing and social media and engagement and PPC and PR marketing and reputation. I mean, there's so many components now to being an SEO. It's not just search engine optimization anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. I actually have an article. I don't know if I'm sure it's probably still there.
Real quick, while you're looking for that, I'm the timekeeper today, so we got to wrap this up in a minute or two. But while you're looking for that, Eric, I just want to let everyone know if you got any questions for Eric, go ahead, pop them on the event page. I know there's a little bit of a delay, and then in a minute or two, we're going to hop over and we'll start going through everyone's questions.
But I do want to expand just very briefly on what Eric was saying about the Wayne Gretzky analogy and where the puck is going to be, like where is it going, and that's kind of what we're trying to accomplish with POFU Live, guys, is really identify where some people's business should be going and where it should be heading in order to position. That's what POFU Live, position to fuck you. It's all about positioning. And so that's entirely what the event's going to be about, is how to position your business to be in a really good place to scale with all the changes coming. So I'm sorry, Yurok, I got it locked on you. What were you about to show?
No, I was just going to show an article that I wrote. I think it's from almost actually it's updated 2017. This is before they kicked everybody off the Huffington Post platform. Actually, the original article was almost 3 years ago, right? But I was sitting there talking about how like SEO is changing and like usability is, and this is a software that helps you to measure, heat maps and usability on sites. I was talking about this stuff 3 years ago as far as like where stuff was going, right? So I'm just sharing this with you because one of the things that I hope to do in the training coming up is show you how to create influence. And you guys are watching this right now. Like you guys should be like just hanging on these guys' arms, right? And be on their coattails, because what they subtly have done with you. Let me get rid of this, is they over the last 4 years have like exhibited and have been eating their dog food, not just by like learning SEO tactics and strategies, but by building a community, right? And before, you could do certain things that would allow you to kind of get clients, and you could kind of do some outreach type stuff, and that some of that stuff still works, but it's just a lot harder, right? So one of the big takeaways that you're going to want to do, and my wife talks about this a lot, is that if you really want to grow a successful business of any kind, you're going to want to create a community. And I know that's like, oh, well, what? Like, that's not magical, but it's tough, right? And so it goes back to like, hey, these guys have been doing this for 4 years to be able to build the momentum, to be able to like continue to go through that. And one of the things that I'm going to teach on the training on Monday is, if you're brand new or you feel like you don't have a lot of experience in terms of like getting clients or building a successful business, one of the things I'm going to talk to you about is how to coattail off of other people's authority to build your authority so that you can take your business to the next level. And why am I showing you articles that I've written for Huffington Post and for Entrepreneur? And why am I talking about the fact that I have pictures of me with Mark Cuban and Lori Grenier, right? Because I'm leveraging their authority. And by default, if you respect those people, hopefully you respect me too. Hopefully, as a result, hopefully you respect me, the fact that I'm here with the Semantic Mastery team, hopefully imparting some minor wisdom to those of you that are participating. And so I'll show you how you can leverage that step by step to help you get where you want to go. And then I'm also going to, because we kind of need to wrap this up, right?
Yeah, just move into the Q&A. But yeah, if there's anything else to
Q&A, and then I'll highlight what I was going to talk about a little bit at the end of kind of like what the big sexy is. Right. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something that's going to get Google to want to take you to bed.
Well, we don't have many questions, so I'm going to grab the screen, lock it on, and then we'll jump into that. Just take a few minutes because we don't have that many anyways. So,
well, that's too bad for them, because I was like, I love engagement, right? So.
Well, it must be that everybody's just enthralled. So, Sam's up first.
Yeah, several good comments on Google being a girl, though. So, yeah, I think I'm not the only one that hadn't heard of that or that agrees.
That's funny. So, Sam's up first. He says, I'm starting a new money site on an age domain. The domain has backlinks pointing to old pages. Do you recommend trying to recapture the power from those links by redirecting to a new page or something, or is that not really necessary? Thanks. Yeah, you can't. Well, it depends, Sam. If you are rebuilding on an old domain that was relevant, like it was in the same category, it might be worth recreating those pages. Even if you set them to no index, still recreating those pages. So go to the Wayback Machine, archive.org, and pull up snapshots of the site from, as in its previous state. And if it was relevant, I would say go ahead and recreate those pages and just set them to no index. But then you can, because then all those inbound links pointing to those pages, that original content, it's likely that those links won't be taken down if discovered by webmasters where those links exist, right? Because it'll still be linking to that original content or what it was originally linking to, I mean. But then you can always put a contextual link from that page to that inner page to wherever you want to push the juice to. And that's a great way to do it. But otherwise, yeah, you could just create a redirect, but just remember that it's likely that that redirect or the link from the original source of the inbound links could be edited out if a webmaster catches it, sees that it's not pointing to what it was intended to point to. Also, if it wasn't relevant content, then if you're redirecting inbound links from that was pointing to something that wasn't relevant, then that could actually end up causing you harm. So there's a lot of different factors you have to take into consideration there. But absolutely, if it was relevant, I would say recreate the pages. That's pretty powerful. I would just set them to no index. What do you guys say?
I would agree. I mean, I think that it's challenging to answer that question without more context.
Right.
Right. I mean, we're just basically making a best guess. It's like saying, hey, doctor, my stomach hurts. Can you tell me if I should take this medicine? And it's like, but I would say that overall, the philosophical answer that you just gave would be spot on.
Right. Next, design to framework. Hey, I have a few questions. Nobody ever talks about the actual close of clients. I did not close clients ever. but this is the aim. Okay. Because I'm going for rank and rent videos, do you have a contract template for that? I just want to put my details, client's details, amount, and that's it. Well, yeah, you can, but I mean, for like rank and rent videos, I mean, guys, I've Marco and I both talk about this often. Contracts are not something I typically work on. It depends on the size and scope of the project. Typically, much larger projects are going to do require a contract, either from the person that hired me or from me to protect me and my effort. Right? It's either one or the other. But typically, for most stuff like rank and rent videos, that's a small enough engagement with a client, right? A small enough commitment that I don't work on contracts. I just work on a month to month. It's like, look, this is how much it's going to cost. If it's producing results, you're going to be happy to pay me. If it's not producing results, you should be able to cancel or stop paying me. And that's it. That's the way I've always worked that way, unless a contract was required because of particular circumstances. But for the most part, I do everything on a month to month because, again, I know I can produce results. And as long as I'm producing results, they should be happy to pay me. And if I don't produce results, they should be able to walk away. Just the same as if I decide that I don't like working with that client for whatever reason, I should be able to walk away. And if I was in a contract, I might not be able to leave either, right? So again, for rank and rent videos, don't overcomplicate shit. You start bringing contracts out for rank and rent video stuff, you're going to lose a lot of potential closes because people don't like contracts, right? Somebody else want to comment on it before I move to the next one?
I'll interject here. So one, if you ever decide that you do want to implement some sort of agreement on a long-term basis, number one, don't use the word contract, right? Because again, like Bradley said, that people don't like the word contracts. Agreements are a lot better, sound a lot nicer. Again, it goes back to the context, right? It depends on what you're charging for and what the work is going to be required for you to actually implement. So if you're working with like a 5-figure monthly client and you're going to have to front load a bunch of work on the front end to try to recoup a positive investment on the back end, then it might seem worthy to you to be able to put together some sort of agreement. And, we talk about a lot with our students about how to close clients, right? And just how to position everything. But if like you're doing stuff for like a minor amount of money, a few $100s or a low 4-figure deal, I work in the same vein as Bradley is that, we typically will say to any brand new client, like, hey, everything's month to month. We ask for a 30-day commitment a 90-day commitment so that you can see how effective this is. And then based on the progress that we make, we'll determine if we continue to move forward. And I can even offer you a way to be able to lock in a long-term deal if you like, but everything that we do is based around that we'll have the freedom to leave. And even if we are in an agreement with a company and they decide that they want to leave, we're not going to try to take them to court or any bullshit like that. We're just going to let them go. But there is a value if the dollar amount's worth it to get that on paper that they made a longer-term commitment, because they'll be a lot less likely to cancel. But again, that's totally based on context.
That's right. Marco, you want to comment on that?
No, because I'm with you. No contracts unless the company is so big that their legal requires it. And I'm going through that now, and it's why I hate contracts, because it's been dragging on. They know they want to work. They already agreed. They said yes, but now legal, it's going to my attorney, it's going to theirs, then it comes back to mine, and then it just drags on. I'm spending money. It's just stupid. Because just let me do what the fuck I do and get out of the way. I mean, that's how I treat it. And if that's not good enough, if you can't get out of the way and you're not going to get out of the way, then just leave me alone. Because I don't want any part of it.
Here you go. So how do you charge clients? What about recurring payments? Do you send PayPal requests, get the client's credit card of some sort? I do almost all of my clients. I just put them on PayPal. I know I pay a shit ton in PayPal fees. It's ridiculous. I could spend less on fees if I used like my own merchant account. I get all that, but I like the ease and convenience of PayPal, and I've run my business that way ever since I opened it. So basically, I send an invoice for any one-off services like setup fees and that kind of thing. But then I send PayPal subscriptions, a subscription link, which I just go right into PayPal, generate a new subscription button, set the terms, and then it spits out a link, and then I just send it via email. That's typically how I charge all my clients, and I get paid, and it works. I have some clients that actually send me paper checks in the mail every month. Believe it or not, I still have clients that do that. But for the most part, whenever I can, I try to get everybody on a PayPal subscription, because then I know it's done, and it's just an automatic withdrawal. Okay. How do you sign clients? Do you use signature online software? No, most of the time because I'm not doing contracts, I don't need signatures. So I don't do that. What I do is I send a proposal via email that's in PDF form. So I draft a proposal. I typically just do that in Google Docs, and then I save it as a PDF, and I send that as a proposal. And then if they agree to the proposal, then all I do is send them, and all I need is an agreement, a positive reply via email. In other words, saying, yes, I agree, via email. And when they say they agree, then I say, okay, I'm going to send you the payment links. And again, if it's a one-off, or like for setup fees or whatever, then I'll send them a PayPal invoice. If it's for a subscription or recurring service, then I send them a PayPal subscription link. Okay. So again, I don't need signature software. If I do need something signed, then typically, I just send a contract or, an agreement or whatever it may be via, I scan it in and send it to them via email. They'll sign it and scan it back and send it back to me. Okay.
Real quick too, and I think that's totally fine, and I wouldn't go out of your way, whoever was asking this, to add another expense. But something I've really been using a lot, I think Renan's been using it too, is the AppSumo briefcase. And they keep adding stuff. It's AppSumo, right? They've got a ton of the stuff, and they've got a billing app. I think it's called literally Billy app. But that's a pretty slick one. You can hook up to different banks. You can issue invoices, so people can pay by card or PayPal or different methods. So anyways, if you're into that, it's like a flat monthly fee for all the apps they have in the briefcase. And it's like $50 a month or something. So if you're going to use it anyways, there's some extra, I guess, utility you could get out of that.
Yeah,
so a word of warning, if I can. Sorry, E-Rock.
No, go ahead.
Do not start working until you got that scratch in your account, man. You can get burned. So make sure you got that money. Because that's the yes. A yes, on paper is useless until you got that money. Then you can start working.
Hallelujah. I was just going to share the same thing. Don't ever work on invoice. Do work up front. If you guys want, we can talk about it in the training on Monday if anybody cares. But you absolutely should get everybody to pay you up front. You should get people to pay you on a recurring basis, so that you can make more. And this is one of the things that I'll tell clients, like, hey, one, you don't want us to have to, where we have to like pause work on your account and then have to spend time trying to make sure that we're getting paid, because then we're wasting time not getting you results, meaning you have to wait on you getting more paychecks and more customers for your business. And two is, and I totally forgot where my momentum was going on this, but you can also make more intelligent decisions, like right there, Adam's like, hey, go pick up briefcase, right? Well, if you don't know when checks are coming in or when stuff's going to get paid, and you don't have recurring revenue, then you don't know how much you can really spend and budget for different expenses every single month. And then three, if you ever decide that you want to grow a business and an agency and you ever want to sell it for later, right? A bigger business that might want to acquire your agency is going to want to see that all of them are on automatic payment too. And so really, if you have clients that are like, well, I don't want to get on automatic payment, it's not that they don't want to get on automatic payment. It's that they don't trust you to be on automatic payment, or because they had a really bad experience before. And that's all stuff that you should have addressed before you're even getting close to getting married or going out on the date with the client. All the objections should have been done so that they have no problem. They should want to pay you on auto payment every month.
Good advice. All right, I've got to run through this. This was very long. So by the way, designed to framework, only because we didn't have a lot of questions. Am I answering all these? Typically, we ask guys to limit your questions in one post to like 1 or 2 questions only, because otherwise that's not fair to everybody else. Okay. So how do I talk to clients? I talk to them either on the phone, or if I need to create a presentation, like have them online, I typically send them a join.me link, because that's easy for them. Typically Skype, it depends on what kind of industry you're targeting, but I deal with a lot of contractors. So a lot of contractors aren't on Skype. They don't understand how to use Google Hangouts. So trying to get people onto conferences and stuff like that is typically very difficult. That's why I just use the phone. I also do a ton of video email stuff. So a lot of times I'm able to convey my messages through sending an email with a video attached, or an embedded video, or what looks like an embedded video. So that all we need to do is chat via email or on the phone. That makes sense. Okay.
Don't just because I love this question. WhatsApp. Don't ever give them your phone number. You'll get calls at 3 in the morning because their rankings drop one spot. Don't ever do that. Don't ever give them your phone number ever.
Yep. Also, just think about buying a virtual phone number. I mean, like you could. I don't know, because I'm in the U.S., so I don't understand some of the probably challenges that you're facing. But you could use something like Vumber. I love Vumber. Vumber.com. I use that for like very specifically for like business for phone numbers for some of my companies. And you can use Vumber, as far as I know, with international numbers, so that you can originate calls from within the U.S. Even though you're doing it from an international phone number. So I would look into something like that, finding a phone service.
Another resource that you can look at that I think offers something for as a freemium is Dialpad, and then we can just move on from there.
All right. So the last part of this, in VLS, you said it's better to target local clients, and he's talking about video lead gen system, guys. Clients in my local area, but I live outside the U.S. and I want to target U.S. clients because my area has shitty payments. I would need 30 clients to get some return. In the U.S., I can lay down 5 clients and have a business. Can I still go for that? Yeah, that's fine. Listen, I just talked about specifically, I'm telling people that are just getting started that it's often easier for you to land the clients that are in your local area because that gives you something in common with them, as opposed to reaching out from across the country or from out of town or from across the globe and trying to sell them on something. When you have something in common with somebody, it builds, that's like instant rapport. And so being able to contact people that are in your local area, essentially your backyard, you could say, oh, hey, I live in the same town. I'm a local guy. That helps to close sales. I found that to be something that helps closing, especially when you're first getting started. But that doesn't mean you can't sell remotely or provide services in the US. It doesn't mean that at all. It just might, that's the only reason why I was saying that. What I recommend that you do is niche down. So focus on one particular industry or vertical and do that. Instead of like targeting one area and multiple businesses within one area, I would target one business type and cover more locations. Okay. Because that way you become very, you become educated and you learn the vocabulary of that industry. You know what their pain points are. You get to know the keywords. You get to know the traffic, where the traffic comes from, all that kind of stuff. And you become an expert in an expert marketer in a particular industry. And it's much easier to scale a business that way, guys, than it is to have to relearn or start from scratch with every new business type that you take on as a client because you don't know their industry. Does that make sense?
Hallelujah.
Okay, we're going to move on. Peter from Poland, what is the best way I can incorporate a comment section in my website? I don't use comment apps very much anymore on any other websites, but the ones I've always obviously turn off WordPress comments. They suck. But I've used the Discuss app, or Discuss DISQUS, I think it is, as a plugin. That seems to work well just because it connects through various social media and stuff like that. But that's the only one I ever use. Anybody else have any suggestions?
Livefire is a good one that you can use. Or depending on what your objective is, you could even potentially, well, I guess it depends on what you're trying to use. But if you're like trying to sell something and you want social proof, you could use Facebook comments too. There
you go. All right, we got to wrap up here in a minute, so I'm going to run through Nigel's question, guys, and I think we're going to have to stop it at that. But I think most of the rest are just comments, so I think we'll be okay. Oh, wow. Nice, Greg. I'll plus one.
Awesome, Greg. Send me that.
I will plus one that. Google's a girl, and that's her. She's attractive. All right, so good day, gents. Working on my POFU. Awesome, Nigel. He says, best software to blur images to cover sensitive info. I mean, I just use Snagit. They have a blur function.
Snagit. It's awesome.
Snagit.
Yep. Snagit is cheap. It's inexpensive. It works. So, best advice on how to close or at least not offend a referral client with lots of influence but unrealistic. on how to close or at least not offend a referral client with lots of influence, but unrealistic or just ignorant of cost of services. I want to rank for every term Google first position for HVAC and Google. Go easy, Marco. The referring party is a dear friend, and I actually believe I can help him. And in pitching social ordeals to start. Okay, so I just went through this with a client referral from somebody that's highly respect, or that I highly respect. He referred a potential client to me, and I spent literally about 8 hours doing a complete digital presence audit for this company. I generated multiple reports, multiple videos explaining what I saw, where I saw opportunity, because this guy spends $20,000 a month on AdWords alone. And so it was a really big client for me. And so, you know, I spent literally 8 hours doing all this work, generating reports and audits and all that, and then creating a proposal and sending it to him. And because it was a client referral from somebody that I really respect, I don't come in with high numbers and then plan on negotiating. When I have a client referral, I come in with my best price. That's it. There is no room for negotiation. The only thing that could be negotiated on is potentially terms, not pricing. When I come in with a client referral, I give my best price. It's the rock bottom price. And so I did that. And I spent all this time, and the guy came back with an absolutely insulting counter proposal. And I was pissed. But fortunately, I bit my tongue and I handled it with some tact, very diplomatically. And when he sent back the counter proposal, I replied to him with a very short email that just said, you know, thank you for your counter proposal. I must say what you proposed was unreasonable for the amount of work that you're requesting. So therefore, I must pass, or I'm going to pass on this project. I wish you and your business much success. That was it. I walked away from it. That's how you do it, Nigel. Be in a position of fuck you. Be in a position of power where you control the negotiation. In other words, come in with your best offer. If they come back with a stupid counter proposal, walk away. Just do it with some tact. Leave the door open for them to contact you, because the moral of this story, guys, just to let you know, was about 3 weeks passed from the time that I sent that email saying exactly what I just mentioned. And guess what? I started getting text messages and emails from the guy asking me to reinitiate the conversation. And so I did, and I ended up meeting with him 2 weeks ago for coffee to meet him face to face. And guess what? He signed the original proposal that I sent out. So, and it's one of my biggest contracts that I've ever, or biggest clients that I've ever landed. And this was just 2 weeks ago. No shit. And it was because I was willing to walk away from that. And it left him thinking about it for 3 weeks. And then eventually he came back and said, no, I really want to work with you. Okay, let's go ahead and proceed with the original proposal. And so I got everything that I wanted out of that just from being able to walk away. So I highly recommend that you do that. Like, you just very diplomatically say, I'm sorry, but this is not a project I want to pursue any further because some of the things that you're requesting are unreasonable. And say, you know, I wish you and your business much success. So what do you guys have to say about that? I know we got to wrap up, but that was a great question.
I'll interject a few thoughts. One, the guy's lucky you didn't come back and say, hey, I'll work with you now, but the price went up 20% because you didn't like my first offer, right? So there's one thing. The other thing is that you could have potentially, not that you, like, obviously you landed the contract. So, but, you know, you could, like, I talk about some different pricing strategies depending on your competency, and I'll just kind of give this as a freebie thing, and we can go into more detail on it, because like my Monday training is going to be very much geared on like how to close clients and how to sell services, right? Because we have a lot of respect in that. I don't like coming in with just one yes or no offer. What I'll typically do is I will offer two different packages, if you will, and it's either a really high flat monthly fee or a reduced monthly fee and some sort of percentage of revenue or profits. And guess what they take 95% of the time? They take the flat monthly fee because they're so scared. You know what the hell you're doing, that you're going to take their future money and their future revenue. And either way, it's a which one am I going to get, right? So you have to be conscientious that if you're going to offer like a performance package, that you've got all your legal stuff in place, because you're going. But it's kind of really the dummy offer. You really aren't wanting them to get that. You just want them to buy your bigger price point package that gets people to want to spend more money with you. Because when you offer something of like, here's my $4 grand a month deal, or here's my $3 grand a month, and I want like 10% of any additional revenue beyond the above your base revenue. One, you're telling them, I really know I can get you results. And two, they'll be, again, so scared that you're going to take future revenue from their table and from their kids' mouths that they'll pay you more monthly because they don't want to have to worry about it. And now they're like, which one am I going to pick?
It's a great strategy.
Yeah,
I like that.
I really like that. And what I would only add to this, client has unreasonable expectations. They want to rank for every Google term, first position, right? Organic, 3-pack. They want everything. Well, go to AdWords and put together some kind of presentation on what people are paying for AdWords in HVAC in the location, and show them what the monthly cost would be just for AdWords. If you have, well, you don't put an if, but with the proper budget, we can absolutely go after this, and this is what it would cost plus your management fee, of course. Or what we could do, and this is when you hit them, because I love that E-Rock alternative. You give me a flat monthly fee, or you give me a lower fee plus percentage. But first show them how unrealistic and ignorant they're being to want every first position that you could possibly get in Google for $500 a month. Fuck that.
Yeah, here's my favorite thing is always use analogies and put it back on their business. So if it's they're an HVAC, say, great, here's what I want. Go to their website and be like, hey, I want an AC tune-up. I want a new AC. I want heating services. I want whatever else that they offer. And I want it all done for the cost of one service.
Yeah.
Is that something that you would be willing to do for me if I was your customer?
Right.
And you know what they're going to say? Well, hell no. So why would you ask me to do the very same thing that you just want that you wouldn't do for me? Right. How am I supposed to do that? A great book everybody should read is Never Split the Difference. It's called Never Split the Difference. Fantastic book. Everybody who wants to improve their negotiating skills should do it, should read that book. But just put it back on them. Just turn around and put them in, try to get them to see themselves in your shoes and why their request is unreasonable. So you don't have to tell them they're being unreasonable. They'll come to their own conclusion and they can't argue against themselves. And if they don't come to that conclusion, do what Bradley said, run screaming into the forest.
That's it. All right, I'm gonna very quickly because we got to go. We're already 2 minutes over, guys. Nigel says, lastly, any pre-made marketing materials for SERP space for MGYB? Also, is there an affiliate program for SM? I think on our next quarter, quarterly planning, we're going to be developing out some sales materials, guys, for people that want to resell our services for MGYB or whatever. So that's something we've talked about. It just wasn't in our current, we didn't have the bandwidth currently for it, but it is something we are planning to be able to provide you guys. And that's especially because of the local GMB Pro stuff, guys. I personally have been working on developing a sales strategy for that service alone, and also lead development, email, autoresponder emails and all of that, like a whole on sales and marketing approach for local GMB Pro services. And so that's something that's probably going to be one of the very first things that we launch as affiliate collateral or assets that you guys will be able to use to go out and resell GMB Pro services. Okay. Last thing, E-Rock, I think you had something you wanted to mention.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everyone knows that they're invited to participate in the free training class that I'll be having next Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is inviting you guys to learn what I believe is a critical component for the future of SEO or just marketing in general, is we talked about influence. And so I'll just show you one thing that I can show you guys publicly. Right. But if someone is in the area and looking for this specific chiropractor, does anything stand out on the page when people type in the term chiropractor port S? Anything stand out or stick out or looks unusual to you guys?
Go ahead and reveal it, because I'm not going to answer. I already know the answer. So.
All right. So as I continue to type, what do you guys notice that sticks out of the blue? Right. So basically, we have discovered a proven way, consistently systematic way to influence Google's auto-suggest results, not in multiple ways to do it. And so instead of people going and looking for a diversity of results, they come to this page here and they're overwhelmed with a branded page of results. And it's made a huge impact on this chiropractor's business. And every business that we've done it, Bradley beta tested this, was able to get some amazing results for some of his clients. I think you said one of your clients that you went through this with said, turn off the leads. You can't handle it.
One of my roofing clients. Yeah.
Right. So, I'm going to go into like a free training on like how to sell SEO services, how to brand your business, how to become a thought leader for helping you to get clients. And then I'm going to invite you to learn how to actually influence Google. I call it G hypnosis, how to hypnotize Google to recommend this company's products and services for people that are looking for that solution or looking for those products and services that'll solve their problems. And so I'm honored, Bradley, that you would offer to invite your students and your following to participate in that. And I hope it's going to be a fantastically fun event, and we'll show you how to undress Google.
That's it. So guys, last I saw a question somebody was asking about being able to come to that webinar. Yeah, just if you're subscribed to any of our email lists, guys, you're going to be getting emails from us over the next between now and Monday, inviting you to the webinar. So just be on the lookout for that. Okay. So listen, hey, thanks E-Rock so much for being here, man. We really appreciate you coming on and spending an hour with us, and we're really looking forward to hosting you for the webinar on Monday as well.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen.
Adam says thanks, by the way. He's got a ton of noise on his end, so he cannot mute. And from me, thanks a ton, man. I learned a whole bunch today. I hope the rest of you did too.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate that coming from you, sir. Your reputation precedes you as well.
So does his mouth.
Yeah, I want to see where the 1 million profile is.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We'll see y'all later. Oh, by the way, Mastermind webinar tomorrow for those of you in the Mastermind. We got a lot to go over, so be there. All right, guys. See you.